All right, everybody, welcome to Trending. Today is Thursday, March 31st. Joe, what was your thought when you walked outside, you looked out the window, and saw the snow this morning? It's almost April and it's snowing outside.
You might have to put like a thing over my mouth. I thought there's no way. But what was cool is like, so we have, I don't know, those little, those trees that have, I call them sweet gumball trees, like the little pokey things. They're round.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
The snow is so fluffy that there's like a tower being built on top of all those on the ground. That was kind of a cool thing. It was almost like defying gravity.
Yes.
I'm tired of snow. How about you?
I'm ready for spring too. I was like, well, I had no idea. Like, I think this surprised most people, but this is not on my radar at all. So
I know. It's gonna be the shortest spring ever. It's gonna go from this to like
100 degrees.
Hot heat.
Yes,
which is the name of a mediocre band.
Hot heat?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
I guess you didn't do garage rock like I did.
I guess not. Not as well as you, apparently. So, all right, Joe, we're going to tackle through the top topics today. I've got 4 for us today, a couple kind of regular ones. I want to give a little disclaimer, but just stick around again. The 4th topic.
Okay.
It's actually not trending today, but has been trending all week.
Okay.
I feel like we have to talk about Will Smith at least a little bit.
Yes.
So we'll get to Will Smith. That'll be our 4th topic today.
Okay.
So stick around. We're going to get to what was
make us a Play-Doh snake.
Probably the biggest pop culture news of the year so far. Such a weird deal. But let's get started with a little bit more of an easier one. Well,
okay.
But this is a sad one for me.
Oh, man.
The movie Morbius is trending right now.
Okay.
For not good reasons.
Why?
The headline is one of the worst superhero movies of all time. So there's this new Morbius movie comes out today. Yeah. I think there were some early screenings. It's in the Sony Spider-Man universe. So it's kind of this, is it part of the MCU? Is it not?
Right.
He's kind of another one of these anti-heroes where he's a bad guy, but he's got like a good streak in him. So it's been delayed a bunch of times, which is usually not a good sign.
Yeah.
Finally came out, and apparently people aren't too thrilled with it. So
that's
the number one topic this morning. Morbius comes out today, and people aren't too thrilled with it. So... Of course, I'm a superhero, Marvel, Spider-Man guy.
Yeah.
Been looking for. I mean, it's a weird movie. He's a vampire, so it's a weird story. But I've been excited just because I love these movies. But it looks like the early reviews are not very positive of Morbius. So
I kind of feel like these vampire-themed movies have run their course.
Yeah.
And so for like Sony and for the MCU to like roll the dice on it, it's kind of strange. Were they just having a slow day during a brainstorming sesh? Anyway.
And I kind of feel for Jared Leto. Jared Leto plays Morbius, and so his Joker kind of got cut from a lot of the. Oh, anyway, at least from his side of things, is he didn't get a chance to really do his Joker the way he wanted to in Suicide Squad and the DC.
Gotcha.
And now he's in the Marvel universe, and people aren't too thrilled about his. I mean, I think he probably did fine, but this movie is getting mixed reviews. So
oh, man. Too bad.
Kind of too bad for Jared Leto, but anyway.
Doesn't he have a show called We Crashed? Like, he's the main character of this, I think it's an Apple Plus show. I've seen trailers for it. It's going to be a good one. So maybe if Morbius doesn't go so well, We Crashed will be better. And it kind of like cover over. So,
I feel like
he's 50 years old.
Really?
Yes.
He looks like 24.
I know. So whatever you're doing, Leto, you're doing it, man.
I like him. I think he's a good actor. He's a really interesting person. Mm-hmm. So anyway.
Yeah.
Number one topic, and of course, it's close to my heart. And you still haven't seen Far From Home, or what's the latest Spider-Man? Whatever. Away From Home?
No Way
Home. Yeah.
Yes.
You still haven't seen it yet, right?
I feel like I need to challenge your Marvel card.
Well, they're all No Way Home, Far From Home, whatever.
I mean, there is a theme there. We haven't seen that one yet.
Okay.
But that's next. I think.
So I won't say too much more about Morbius, just to avoid potential spoilers for you. But anyway, Morbius is out today.
All right, gotcha.
So kind of more sad news. The number one topic, I think last night, kind of still coming over this morning, aphasia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's a disease that Bruce Willis has. Yeah. So Bruce Willis was trending yesterday and today. His family came out and said that he has this disease. He's officially retiring from acting.
Wow.
They're saying it's beginning to affect his mental capacity, and so I've never heard of that disease. Have you? I had to do a little bit of research.
I haven't either. So is it akin to like Alzheimer's and like the memory diseases?
The first and biggest thing that affects is just your communication. You're not able to communicate or understand communication very, very well, and so it's often caused by strokes or concussions. And so his family hasn't said what happened or if there was some kind of an event. So Obviously, really sad news for Bruce Willis, and a lot of people loved him. He's been in a lot of really great movies, so it's always hard to see stars like that slip into like mental decline. You know, it's such a sharp, well-respected, great actor. It's just hard news when those things happen to people that a lot of people really like.
Yeah,
so,
man. That's
bummer news
bad.
for Bruce Willis.
That is a bummer. Okay, so the perennial debate is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not, man?
I don't care. I just don't
I didn't
care.
expect that answer. Man, you kind of stunned me there.
I think it's everyone. A lot of people's favorite like Christmas debates, and I don't know. I don't have a fight either way. It's a good movie.
Yeah, we're too busy during Christmas and church to like talk about that.
Exactly. But I'm sad about Bruce Willis, but again, just kind of the silver lining. I like when the good thing about when things like this happen is it kind of raises awareness about these diseases that a lot of us don't know anything about. So like aphasia, not Bruce Willis, but aphasia was the number one topic. So people are at least researching and learning, and it might bring some attention, and who knows, a little bit of spotlight might help some cures down the road. So anyway, sad news for Bruce Willis.
Let's hope so.
Okay, next up, I want to talk about Eric Church. Do you know Eric Church?
The country singer?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know much about it. I can't tell you a single Eric Church song. Not really a country guy.
Put the comments below.
Yeah, I know. But he's trending for a kind of an interesting reason. So he is a big basketball fan.
Okay.
I think he's a North Carolina fan.
Okay.
And so he's trending today because he canceled one of his tour dates because he wanted to go watch the Final Four game.
Oh, wow.
So I think I can't remember if it's Duke or Carolina, but one of those teams. He's a big fan. He's always been a big fan, and I guess those two have never played with each other in the Final Four before, which is a little
crazy.
surprising.
I mean, it's probably the harshest rivalry in college basketball. Some would argue for all of sports.
Yeah,
and they play each other potentially 3 times a year. So they play each other, head to head in conference play, sometimes in their conference tournament.
Yep.
And they're blue bloods. They normally make it to the tournament.
Right.
So for the first time to ever play against each other in the tournament, in the Final Four, in Coach K's last year.
I know.
Hubie's first year.
Yep. It is kind of a storybook too good to be true.
Oh, juicy.
Yes. So Eric Church, he's such a fan, he canceled a tour date so he can go watch it. So a lot of people are understandably pretty upset with him. Which I like. If I was a big fan and I had bought tickets and made plans to go see, I'm sure I'd be disappointed too.
Yeah.
But I can't blame him. It is a pretty historic moment if you're a big fan.
Yeah.
I get it. So I wanted to tee this up to you, Joe.
Okay.
This is your chance to air your dirty laundry of your past if you want to. So have you ever done something like this where you had an obligation but you're like, this thing's too great to pass up. I need to not go to work or take a day off school or whatever because this is more important to me than. Have you ever done something like that?
I don't know if I've totally spaced something like that. But one time, probably one of the best college football bowl games ever was USC versus Texas in the national championship game.
Yep.
Okay, I was working at Hollister at the time as an assistant manager. Okay, and I was doing the night shift. It was a terrible schedule. So typically when the store closed, you'd stay an hour and a half to like put the store back, do all the closing stuff. Well, it was a slow night because everybody's wanting to watch the game.
Sure.
Part of the closing scenario was you had to call into the district manager to like give numbers and stuff, which tipped them off what time you were leaving the store.
Okay.
So with my crew, like we got everything done and we actually left right after we closed.
Okay.
So I could go watch the game.
Sure.
But I waited like another hour and a half to call the district manager so that it would seem like
you were there.
It was like that we're really like putting the store back together and stuff like that. So that's the first one that came to my mind.
Okay. Do you feel some guilt just lifted off your shoulders? Like not, the public now knows your Hollister shenanigans?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. What about you? Do you got something like that?
My only one, which this is not very rebellious because my mom took me to do this, but I think I was in 4th grade. I skipped school in 4th grade to go see Michael W. Smith at the Better Book Room in downtown Wichita. So this is back in like Better Book Room days when like the very famous Christian bookstore.
Yeah.
Smitty was on tour. I don't think he played a show here, but he was driving through in the middle of a work day. I think he did a little concert and like signed autographs at the Better Book Room. So I skipped school in 4th grade to go see Michael W. Smith.
But can you take credit for skipping school? Because like you're a fourth grade, like your mom needs to take credit for that.
Exactly. But that's that. I mean, I'll probably always remember that day. It was a very cool thing.
So what era of Michael W. Smith was it? Was it like the early like Awesome God era? Was it the
Awesome God's Rich Mullins, man?
But didn't he like cover it?
Oh, I mean, probably. He's covered every worship song.
Was it the Breathe song? This is the era.
Oh no, it was before that. So it was probably like, oh man, probably like, I'll Lead You Home, or maybe the First Decade. One of those albums probably. So probably the Go West Young Man era probably. So it's like, yeah, late 90s.
Yeah.
So anyways, I kind of feel for Eric Church, but I kind of like that he's doing this at the same time.
I think
so. Once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think every person makes their decisions, and they got to probably handle the consequences. Right? Like he's probably gonna lose some fans over it.
Yeah.
But he might gain some. It'll probably be a net neutral.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It kind of humanizes him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And so sure. Does this rise to the level of like a scandalous act by a performer? Maybe. But he'll have to live with it, and he's hopefully whoever he's rooting for, it's like worth it.
Yeah.
But I think if he's a Duke fan, this is Coach K's swan song, man. Yeah. Like curtain call or whatever. Like, yeah, he should go do it. Or if he's a North Carolina fan, to see them like rain on the parade, like even better.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's a good call. I approve, Eric Church. Okay. When you watch Trending later today. Hope you feel good about it.
Yes. Thanks for watching, Eric.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, I forgot to mention, I'm looking at my little screen here. We got a new backdrop, so if people are thrown off.
Just now?
Well, no, I'm just seeing it. I just forgot to mention it. So we're in the same room. We just got a cool new fake. This is not real brick. It's just a very thin piece of plastic. But anyway.
By this point, you should have just like let it go and see it.
I know. I should have. I was looking. I was like, oh yeah, that looks different than usual.
We got a shelf of things over here.
We got Ninja Turtle behind you back over there.
Nice.
So yeah, man,
nice.
We're kind of experimenting with different backdrops in here. So
all right.
Okay, with that, you ready to talk about Will Smith?
Let's do it, man.
So Oscars, everyone knows about this at this point. You were in San Diego. You're at a conference. I'm not sure if you saw this in close to real time or not, or if you just saw some of the reaction.
Yeah, I saw the reaction the next day, but I was actually talking to Andy and Carmen Owen. We're on a walk to dinner one night. We were there, and they're like, oh, man, too bad Trending's not today because you can talk about Will Smith. I'm like, there's 100% chance still being talked about on Thursday.
Yes.
100%. Yep. Yeah.
So, obviously, I mostly just feel weird watching it. Like, I feel bad for both of them. Like, they were both in a weird spot, Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Yeah. Chris
Rock maybe shouldn't have said that about Jada, and Will Smith definitely shouldn't have done that. But I understand wanting to protect your wife. I can't imagine being in this spot where you have to hear people say things like that about your spouse, especially in the heat of a moment. I get how those kinds of things could happen. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do.
Right.
But what were some of your kind of high level thoughts as you're hearing all this and seeing some of the reactions?
First, I thought it was a joke. Like, I thought maybe they had like lined it up and it was a bit that they were pulling off. But but then you kind of suck it down. Like you could like sense the tension in the room.
Yeah.
I did think it was strange that he could still receive an award after all of that.
Yeah.
It's weird seeing him act that way because, and this is some of the commentary reporting I heard in the background, is he's always been kind of like the nice guy. Like, the sum total of his hip hop is usually positive. Mm-hmm. The Pursuit of Happiness film.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to a podcast that I turned out Mega.
Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And this a Mega episode was filmed back in like 2019 or whatever, mentioned Will Smith and how we're still in the Willennium. Yeah. And they're like mentioning all these great films that he's been a part of. I'm like, oh boy, like listening to it now, it's just kind of awkward and strange to hear. Mm-hmm. He's always been a good guy. Like everyone loves Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like you start whistling the tune, everybody can sing along, absolutely, right? Yep. And to see him kind of act in such a starkly different way, which is bizarre. Yeah, I think in the heat of the moment, he got into reptilian brain, and I wonder, can you even know? He probably regrets what he did.
Yeah.
But is that regret because he's like really embracing or kind of absorbing what happened now that he's had some distance, or is there's consequences down the road?
Yeah.
And so he's being apologetic. I know that they had beef a long time ago. They and Chris Rock, and so it kind of boiled over, and so there's just a whole lot to say here. But boy, and this is easy for me to say from here, but as a role model, you would love to see role models do role model things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that we would want people to emulate far and wide. So that's just unfortunate.
Yeah. I've been processing this too, like everybody has, and there's so many things to think about, right?
Yeah.
One of my unfortunate thoughts is, I wonder what would have happened if it was anyone other than Will Smith. Because Will Smith is so highly regarded, everyone loves him. He's one of the biggest stars in the world.
Right.
If this was like a B or C or D level actor, I don't know, would they have been taken out of the room? Probably wouldn't have been able to come back on stage. But because it's this person that everybody loves, so that's just I don't know. I don't know what I think about that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like I've thought about this with anytime a celebrity does something dumb, their reputation is tarnished forever. And there's part of me that just, my soul aches a little bit that his legacy will forever be tarnished because of the split-second decision he made. Which, that's true for all of us, right?
Yeah.
You and I or anybody could do something dumb at any point that could ruin our lives. That's just it's part of being human.
Right.
But there's a little part of me, I feel for his legacy that this will forever be part of his story.
Yeah.
And I regret that for him, that he's going to have to talk about this the rest of his life. And that's a bummer.
Yeah. I think, too, for Chris Rock's sake, like, he didn't retaliate. And it took a lot to not do something back.
He could have responded horribly, and he didn't.
And so
a lot of credit.
On the other side of that coin, like, I think Chris Rock will be known. Sure, he did say some things that were hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like he didn't retaliate. He kind of sat there and he took it, he absorbed it, and he moved on.
Yep.
So
again, in the heat of the moment, I'm sure a lot of things are going through his mind as well.
He's a bigger man than I would have been, I think.
Yes. I think my biggest takeaway, which I saw this on Twitter from someone else, I'll read a little quote, because when it happened, I saw some of the behind the scenes pictures of during the commercial break, people are kind of talking and figuring things out. So Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry came over to Will, like they kind of took him aside. They took him out of the heat of the moment, and they kind of talked to them for a few minutes. And then Will mentioned this in his acceptance speech a few minutes later, which again is just so weird.
Yeah.
But Will said that Denzel told him, "At your highest moment, be careful. That's when the devil comes for you." So first of all, that's I think that's great advice, and it's just cool that someone like Denzel, who's older and kind of, I'm sure, somewhat of a mentor figure, took the time to put himself into a messy situation, pull Will out of it, and try to comfort him. But who has this kind of thing just at the top of their mind, the top of their lips?
Right.
Like that could be a psalm. You know what I mean? But he had it at the top of his mind, just comforting his friend.
Right.
So with the quote that I saw was, I don't want to be Chris Rock. I don't want to be Will Smith. I want to be Denzel Washington. Like when these kinds of things happen, I don't want to be the one who says something mean, and I don't want to be the one who retaliates. I want to be the one who comes aside and has comforting, wise words in the midst of a tense moment.
Yeah.
So,
and that takes spirituality. That takes, because that's something that we talk about in Christian practices, is because we want patience, but we're not quite sure when we're going to need it. So you have to rehearse it before, so that when it springs upon you, you'll be ready. So Ken Boa talked about like prayer and giving and fasting, like some of the big Christian practices. He calls them indirect preparedness. You're practicing in solitude, something that you're going to need when it springs upon you. So he compares it to Mr. Miyagi teaching Daniel-san karate, right? He's actually teaching him household chores,
right?
But it indirectly prepares him for martial arts.
Yeah.
Same thing in Christian practices too. The things that we do are not just because we want to do something spiritual. It's actually preparing us for these moments when we do get into reptilian brain, and we'll act out the stuff that we would rather do than the stuff that in maybe a more primal frame of mind that we would do because we haven't rehearsed a different way to be human. Yeah. And so I think that's why we need religion more than anything else, is because we're not quite sure when these things will happen, and what are we going to do in those moments? How do you know that you're going to do the right thing? Right. If you practice it ahead of time, then there's a good chance that you'll have a different response than the reaction that comes into your mind first. Yep. Yeah.
Well, kudos to Denzel, and just a weird situation. I'm sure we'll continue things. Chris Rock, I think he said he's still processing the event.
That's a weird word.
So whatever. Well, things will continue to happen over the next few days, I'm sure. But be Denzel in the midst of conflict. Be Denzel. I like that a lot. I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah. So
absolutely.
Okay, well that's all I got today.
Okay.
We'll go try to get some work done in the cold, weird last day of March. It would have been nice if it snowed tomorrow on April Fool's Day.
That's right.
That would have been a nice little, just perfect timing.
That's right.
Maybe it'll still be, maybe tomorrow will be like 100 degrees. Who knows? All right, man. Anything before we wrap up today?
No, I think it's good.
Okay.
Leave it there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching today, guys. Have a great day, great week, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.